Part 38. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 387. It's an update today, dear friends, don't wait. Sensing the remorse in the hearts of MRS Zhang and MRS Zhang, afraid that the old couple might have some thoughts in their hearts, or they might lose face, Zhang Dongfang's wife Li Suxin repeated gently, "Father, Mother, go home. Grandpa, Grandma, my parents set up a Kong in the south room. They burned it up last night, and it was very hot. From now on, Grandpa and Grandma won't sleep on the Kong anymore." Grandson Zhang Zexiang also smiled broadly. Two hearts. Hey, hey. The old couple responded repeatedly, with indescribable satisfaction on their faces. They took 2 steps, but then stopped, and turned their gazes to Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. "Son, we are so confused. I'm really sorry for something like this. Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhang, please don't say that." Zhao Yulan hurried forward and answered with a smile, "You two are kind-hearted, we know that." "That's right," Lin Baohe agreed with his wife habitually. Coax. The onlookers let out a burst of laughter. Mr. Lin and MRS Lin, who quickly hid back into the house while no one was paying attention, turned pale with anger when they heard the conversation and laughter outside. Doesn't this make it clear that they have bad intentions? People who live in high-rise buildings in the city can only sit on the Kong for the old couple. What about them? The granddaughter has no part in her wedding. Is this their bad intentions or the son and daughter-in-law's bad intentions? If it wasn't for the descendants of the Lin family, would they need to do this? The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. The old lady Lin, who hadn't climbed onto the Kong, angrily turned around and walked out. The old man was so frightened that he grabbed her. "What are you doing? Be reasonable. Is there any reason in this? How do you explain this? How did we and the old Zhang family talk to our son and daughter-in-law? How did we actually treat them? How did the Zhang family's old couple treat their son and daughter-in-law? Did you go out and talk about some reason? Aren't we all different, 4 children? How can we get along so well? Okay, I understand my own affairs. Others are not fools, so let's do it today." Mr. Lin sighed, and waved his hands dejectedly. "After a while, I will forget my mind. Let's think about it again." "What do you mean? We're really wrong," MRS Lin snorted. "What else do they want to do if they just have a baby boy? If they have 2 grandchildren, I will treat them the same as I did to Baohe." Mr. Lin suddenly raised his ears, motioning for MRS Lin to keep silent. "My father has 3 brothers, he is the youngest. My mother and my father live in the same village, and he became a child without parents when he was 10 years old. My mother's grandparents and uncles don't care about her. My grandparents, seeing how pitiful my mother was, she took her home and raised her as her own daughter. 4 children, the family is poor. My mother thought of my grandparents' kindness, and mainly asked to marry my father. She really fell in love with my father, and in addition, it could save a gift money. My grandparents were afraid at first that people would say they adopted my mother just to be a daughter-in-law for my son. I disagreed, and later, it was my parents' insistence that made them agree. After they got married, they still lived with their grandparents. There are also my 2 uncles and uncles, who are also crowded in the same yard. Although poor, the whole family lived happily. The Great Flood in 1965 flooded the whole village. My grandparents and my uncle happened to be at home, and they were all smashed into the house. My parents took me and my sister to pick wild fruits on the mountain to satisfy our hunger. Escaped. Relief can only be temporary, and the reconstruction still depends on ourselves. My parents saved food for me and my sister, and they ate wild grasses and vegetables and elm bark. In winter, my sister and I wear cotton-padded clothes, and my parents use the old cotton that we used to wear in the cotton-padded clothes in previous years to make a padded jacket and cotton trousers to make do with it. As far as I can remember, my parents' hands and feet have never been in winter not bad. From childhood to adulthood, my sister and I have all the good food and clothing. My parents live for our siblings. They are more or less partial to me, but they are also sincerely good to my sister. My elder sister has reached the age of marriage, and the matchmaker came to propose marriage. The first condition of my parents is that my elder sister likes it. If my elder sister doesn't like it, no matter how good the conditions are, they can't make decisions randomly. My sister married what she liked, not what would bring much benefit to my family. Now they are willing to stay by my side because they consider that my sister's conditions are not as good as mine, and they don't want to add more burden to my sister. Because of the environment in which they live, their relatives are kind, and they love their children sincerely, so they feel that others treat their children in the same way. When my sister was looking for my brother-in-law, the only reference that my parents gave to my sister was that the other party must be filial, because the younger generation is watching. If you are filial, the younger generation will be filial to you in the future, so that it can be passed on from generation to generation. Today, I say these things because I want to say that filial piety has been emphasized since ancient times, but if under the guise of filial piety, they are counting on their children and grandchildren, is such an old man still qualified to be filial? Slap in the face, Honkyuakyo slaps in the face. This deputy county magistrate is obviously supporting Lin Baohee and his wife. However, what they said was true. Everyone in the village knew how the old couple of the Lin family treated Lin Baohee and his wife. Many people even suspected that Lin Baohee was not their own. Otherwise, how could they treat the son like that? Apathy. It was Mr. Zhang's father and Mrs. Zhang who told Zhang Dongfang to tell these things. Although it was a bit boastful, if he got into trouble, he would always give him justice. And in this way, it is the most simple and effective. Words are formidable, but jealousy is even more formidable. The opportunity for Lin Baohee's family will definitely make many people unconvinced from the bottom of their hearts. They may say congratulations, but they don't think so in their hearts. Everyone knows who is at fault for today's incident, and everyone should feel the same way now, but if the Zhang family doesn't have a clear statement, Lin Baohee and his wife may really be blamed for their unfilial piety. At this point, the matter was considered a satisfactory solution, and Grandpa Dagong waved to everyone, let's go, let's go. He also stood up and walked out, and Luo Gangshun quickly followed. Widow Li and Manzi, who thought they had been forgotten, also wanted to sneak out, but the young men who were escorted over quickly caught them and dragged them out. Why arrest us? Lin Baojiang came up with the idea. Why arrest us? Manzi howled resolutely, trying to break free from the restraints, but was slapped on the neck by the strong boy who was escorting him, and his head tilted. Sound. Chu Xia, who was following behind a few people, couldn't help but click his tongue, good skill. The two young men who were walking normally staggered and dragged Manzi forward. What does this mean? Luo Xiaoxiang stroked his forehead in wonder. Xiao He used to think you were ugly, but now you are scared by your ugliness. Probably so. Chu Xia nodded approvingly, or maybe I'm scared after hearing that I've become the wife of a high official. Meiying is getting stronger and stronger, and Chuxia is also getting stronger and stronger. It's good. When the village director Lin Yubao passed by the two of them, he smiled and boasted the two of them respectively. Influenced by Chu Xia's aesthetics, Xiaoxiang Tongzi no longer thinks that being too strong is a good thing, and her little face immediately twitches like a bitter gourd. Am I really strong? No. Chu Xia looked at her eyes, pinched her body, and concluded, in Grandpa Yubao's opinion, being strong is a good thing, and she said that to make us happy. Xiaoxiang, in early summer, I'm tanned. Seeing Lin Yubao's son Lin Zonghua running past like a gust of wind, Luo Xiaoxiang pointed at him angrily and shouted, stop if you have the ability, little boy. If you dare to say I'm black, see if I don't beat you to death. I'm your little uncle. If you dare to beat me up, I'll sue your father." Lin Zonghua turned his head and made a face at her, then ran away in a hurry. "Damn boy, just wait for me." "Ah, mother, why are you beating me?" The fat aunt glared at her daughter who was covering her head and protesting. "Zonghua is your uncle, how can you be so unruly?" According to Luo Xiaoxian, who was about to retort, saw Lin Yuebao's daughter-in-law who was smiling and looking at her, so she hurriedly forcibly answered her words, and smiled at Lin Yuebao's daughter-in-law, 6 milk grandma. "Hey, Miying looks more and more handsome the longer she grows." Calling a woman in her early 40s grandma, Chu Xia said that she had some psychological barriers, but the other party was squinting and smiling at her, so she had to politely say hello. 6 grandma is good. "Hey, the longer Xia grows, the more she looks like a little fairy." Luo Xiaoxian gave Lin Yuebao's daughter-in-law a thumbs up. 6 grandma, obviously we are a family. The praises that Grandpa 6 and Uncle have and yours are really incomparable. The two of them said what they thought was nice, and after hearing it in other people's ears, hee. Yuebao's daughter-in-law shook her head while laughing, expressing her helplessness towards her husband and son's behavior. At this time, Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan, Jingjie and the Zhang family also followed, and the group went to Chuxia's new house talking and laughing. The state of mind is different. Compared with last night, the old couple of the Zhang family have become very peaceful and kind old people. Their belongings were packed before, but they were tossed away by the old couple again, so they want to move out. Had to clean up again. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan are industrious people, and without the Zhang family saying anything, they started to help clean up. Zhao Yulan also joked, "Uncle Zhang, Aunt Zhang, we didn't clean up because we hoped that your two elders would leave, but pure help. When we were leaving, the second elder brought the key belt here. When we went to the girl's place, when the second elder wanted to see the crops and listen to the rooster crow, he would come back to live for a while." The faces of the old couple burst into joy, and then they dimmed again. After what happened this time, when they came to this village again, they would feel like they didn't know who they were with. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 388. One more. Seeing the scruples in the hearts of the old couple of the Zhang family, the fat aunt stepped forward and pulled the old lady affectionately. "Baohe and Yulan are not here. In my heart, I can relax a little bit. We know that even if the house has an earthen kong, but there is no yard or vegetable garden, the parents may still not be used to living in it, so father, mother, brother Lin and sister-in-law Lin are real people, so we don't want to be polite. Whenever you want to come and live for a while, I will send you here." Li Suxin just wanted to tell about the fact that her family had purchased a small farmyard for the old couple in the suburbs of the city, but Zhang Dongfang snatched the words away. Although she didn't quite understand her husband's intentions, she immediately followed her husband's words go along. "That's right, we've been worrying about what to do if our parents don't get used to it when they go home. Xiang is studying how to grow vegetables on the balcony these days. He said that there is no vegetable garden, so it's okay to bring a vegetable pot for grandparents to satisfy their eyesight. Grandpa, Grandma, I put 3 pots on the balcony. I planted cabbage, cucumbers, and garlic sprouts in them, and the garlic sprouts have sprouted." Zhang Zexiang is 17 this year, a few months younger than both Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian. He is at the age of being curious and ignorant of the opposite sex. When he was talking, he found that Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian were staring at him, and his face immediately turned red like a cock's comb. The old lady Zhang thought that her baby grandson had caught a cold, so she quickly reached out to wipe his hot forehead, and the old lady panicked, "Do you have a headache?" "It doesn't hurt," Zhang Zexiang replied in a voice like a mosquito, and fled to another room. "I'll go over there to clean up." "You child. I don't know how to wear more clothes. Grandma will find you some analgin to eat." The old lady felt sorry for her grandson. He chased after him with little feet and continued to ask for his health. Knowing a son is like a mother, how can Lee Suk-sun not know what is going on with his son? He wanted to tell the old lady the truth, but he was worried that the younger generations would not be able to hold his face, so he simply stopped caring about the old and the young. As a result, Jang Zexiang really took a piece of analgin. The old lady specially mixed sugar water to give medicine to her grandson. As a result, before the jar in her hand was handed over to her grandson, he had already swallowed the medicine and went back to work. In an instant, the old lady seemed to understand something, and she felt regretful in her heart. But he couldn't say anything, so he handed the tea mug to Jang Zexiang. I added sugar. Jang Zexiang actually didn't taste anything after drinking a jar of sugar water. He didn't know what he was thinking at the moment, and at the moment he was worried that others would see his thoughts. After a while, I was worried about what would happen if I took this medicine. Chu Xia and Luo Zioxian were packing up some small things in the middle room, and their actions in the house could not escape their eyes and ears. Of course, they would not admit that they went to the middle room to pack up small things. It's just that the life of wanting to gossip is too monotonous, and the color is beautiful only if you find it by yourself. Yushin, go and have a look, there must be something wrong with the vacating of the house. Otherwise, how can we not make it through at this point? It was already 9:30, and the shadows of my daughter, son-in-law and granddaughter had not yet appeared. Mrs. Zhao became anxious. She was afraid that Zhao Yulan would be embarrassed by Mrs. Lin. Mrs. Lin. Yes, Zhao Yushin replied and moved forward to get off the Kong. He was also very anxious, although his sister and brother-in-law's temper was not the same as before. But old man Lin and Mrs. Lin are not ordinary people. He was really worried that his sister and brother-in-law would follow their tricks. I'll go too, Li Aiwan said. Mother, you should prepare the meal at home. Daddy and I will go. Zhao Qiwi packed herself in tightly and stopped Li Aiwan, who wanted to accompany her. It's also, Li Aiwan raised her ears. I heard the car horn. Is it here? She said while pushing her daughter outside. Sure enough, when they left the door, they saw Zhao Yulan's family, Luo Gangshun's family, and Jingzhe, a large group coming in. The in-laws are here too. Li Aiwan first stepped forward to shake hands with Aunt Luo Gangshun affectionately, then turned to look at Lin Baohe and his wife. You can be regarded as coming, but we are so anxious that we are planning to let your elder brother and Chi Hui. I'm going to Dalian village to find you. Let's go inside and talk, Zhao Yulan said as she greeted the people who were busy greeting each other. We are all a family, so why are you so polite? Go and sit inside, it's still warm. Li Aiwan couldn't help laughing and said, it's different from before. Speaking of which, the neighbors are full of style. Did you see that I robbed my sister-in-law of the hostess's power, and my sister-in-law is not happy? Zhao Yulan deliberately ignored Li Aiwan, and pulled the fat ant to complain. I am not afraid that your two parents are too polite, so I turned my back on the guests. Oh. You, just wrong me. Li Aiwan slapped Zhao Yulan in protest, but then grabbed her affectionately and pushed her into the room. The smile on Fat Ant's face was even more unbearable. After dating Zhao Yulan for so many years, she couldn't be more clear about who she is, and her daughter's mother-in-law Li Aiwan can get so close to Zhao Yulan, which shows that she is also a kind-hearted and good-tempered woman. Whether they live together or separated after home, having a good mother-in-law is always happy. Several families gathered together and sat in a room full of people. Did something happen? Mr. Zhao looked at his daughter's family worriedly and asked. And Zhao Yulan responded, and briefly described everything that happened after returning home last night. In-laws, thank you. Baohe and Yulan owe you both their love in this life. Mr. Zhao is a transparent person. Hearing what his daughter said, he understood that the so-called anger of Aunt Fat was just for this matter. Uncover the mask of Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin to make the matter more satisfactory. Aunt Fat smiled embarrassedly. Uncle Zhao, you are welcome. it is our good fortune to be able to spend so many years with Beohee Yulan. Don't say that. We finally got together, can we all stop talking politely? Chu Xia interrupted Zhao Yulan, who wanted to continue being polite. Mother, you haven't praised me and Xiaoxing about this matter yet. Girl, didn't you say that you are not allowed to speak polite words? Why do you want your mother to praise you again? Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter, obviously accusing her, so Chu Xia sneered, Xiaoxing, and I deserve credit, it doesn't matter if you praise me or not, Xiaoxing is the future daughter-in-law of the Zhao family. Don't praise me, the idea is all yours, Luo Xiaoxing said while touching her face. Fortunately, we will leave early tomorrow morning, otherwise my face must have been exposed. Can you tell me in detail? You guys are always playing riddles here, it's going to kill me. Zhao Qian poked at Chu Xia while talking, tell me, what's going on? Everyone looked at Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxing in unison. To be honest, these two played a bitter game, not to mention Zhao Qiwi who heard it. They didn't fully understand what they saw with their own eyes. Didn't my mother say that my father and a little widow are good? Of course I don't believe it, so I want to drag Chu Xia to find that little widow. My mother had no choice but to tell us quietly why she told this story. She always believed that my father was wronged, but when she saw my father coming back from the outside in the morning, she suddenly felt that maybe this matter you can take advantage of it. It can not only solve the problem of my father's reputation, but also defeat the calculations of Grandpa Lin and Grandma Lin. Speaking of this, Luo Xiaoxing smiled at Lin Beohee in embarrassment. After all, she was talking about the relatives of the family, and it was a bit unkind to say it in front of the family. Lin Beohee waved his hand, motioning for her to continue. At the beginning, my mother went to Grandpa and Grandma Zhang's house more frequently, but later, because Grandpa Lin and Grandma Lin always went, it was a bit embarrassing for everyone to meet together, so she went less often. After the incident about my father came out, there were all kinds of rumors in the village. One day when my mother went to the house of Grandpa Zhang and Grandma Zhang, she happened to hear Grandpa Zhang and Grandma Zhang asking Grandpa Lin and Grandma Lin, saying that what happened to my father had nothing to do with them. It didn't matter whether the eldest son was involved. They answered in the affirmative, absolutely not, and said that the 4 children in his family, except for the disobedient second child and second daughter-in-law, the other 3 are fine. My mother was very angry at the time, and wanted to go in and argue, but then she thought again, if she really went in, she could be reasonable and unreasonable, and I don't know when Uncle Beohee and Aunt Yulan come back to talk about it. As a result, it happened to be used this time. I went to find out that the bigger the trouble, the better. The news reached the ears of Grandpa Zhang and Grandma Zhang. They knew that Grandpa Lin and Grandma Lin were lying to them, so they naturally it will no longer be difficult for Uncle Beohee and Aunt Yulan. It was not in our plan for Uncle Lin to tell the story himself, but his approach helped us more perfectly. As for the wound on my face, it was Chu Xia's idea. Originally, I wanted to spare myself a beating, but Chu Xia gave me this. Luo Xiaoxing took out a small transparent red plastic bag, and Mrs. Zhao took it curiously, and saw that it was a plastic bag tightly divided into small squares. It contains chicken blood, Chu Xia explained. Being a soldier for more than half a year, I have learned some real kung fu anyway. It is not a problem to protect myself from injury, and to do a little trick. I still have to thank Shaxiang for this matter. The old lady Zhao looked at the fat ant gratefully again. If it weren't for your intentions, these 2 children would have nowhere to use their strength. Shaxiang, you are the eldest brother of Yulan and Beohee. The benefactor is also the great benefactor of our Zhao family. If they are not comfortable, we will not be comfortable either. Luo Xiaoxing gloated at Chuxia and smiled, the praise fell on you again. Chu Xia rolled her beautiful eyes at her, I didn't judge the case. I'm just a bystander. What's there to praise? I'm making wedding clothes for you. Can't you see? I'm in front of my grandpa. Put gold on your face, can't you see it? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 389. Second Watch. Kiwi. Kiwi. A series of shouts came in from outside. Zhao Kiwi hurriedly stood up to greet them. Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian looked out. She was a girl in her early 20s, with thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a strong body, which was very in line with the aesthetics of this era. Everyone knows Suqin, Zhao Kiwi's best friend. Knowing that the two of them must be in good spirits, Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian retracted their heads wisely, and put down the door curtain with a wink. Suqin, what's the matter? There was a car parked outside, and it was impossible for the other party not to know that there was a visitor at her house, so Zhao Kiwi asked suspiciously. Your sister came back with her brother-in-law. Suqin dragged her out of the door and said mysteriously. Zhao Kiwi looked puzzled. Which sister and brother-in-law of mine? How many younger sisters do you have? Of course it's Zhao Qian. Suqin slapped his forehead fiercely. By the way, there is also a car parked in front of your house. Someone important is here, right? Are you on a blind date? You can really imagine. Zhao Qian gave her a white look. My sister-in-law's family and my future sister-in-law's family are here. Let me ask you, have you seen Zhao Qian with your own eyes? Is this still false? She greeted me and said that the man was her man. Suqin put her head next to Zhao Kiwi's ear and whispered, there are quite a few fat people, and they put their hands on their backs when they walk. Come on, it looks like she's going to be a mother. True, really. Zhao Kiwi felt that she was talking nonsense after repeating it, so she smiled embarrassedly. It's not that I don't believe you. It's a habitual repetition, really, it's really unexpected. Yeah. I was shocked too, so I came here to talk to you at the first time. Suqin kept looking into the room while speaking. Zhao Kiwi sighed secretly, and vaguely issued the eviction order. Suqin, my cousin, and my future sister-in-law are going back to Sitia tomorrow morning, and I'll go find you tomorrow. Why didn't your brother come back? Suqin asked a little unwillingly. He's on a business trip and won't be back in a short time. My sister-in-law came back with my cousin's family. My cousin didn't go back to her hometown after she got married, so she took this opportunity to send my sister-in-law and uncle back. Visit some important relatives by the way. Chu Xia is very lucky. Chu Xia often comes to Zhao's house. Suqin is also very familiar with Chu Xia, and regarding Chu Xia's becoming the head's wife. In addition to envy, as for jealousy and hatred, I can't take care of it for the time being. My grandma said before that Xia has grown into a good fortune, and the next day will not be too bad. Once my second aunt was there. I laughed so hard. Zhao Kiwi sighed with emotion. Look now, my grandma is really right, our child. She is the most promising. You are close to Chu Xia, so you don't have to worry about it in the future, unlike me. Suqin couldn't help sighing. My parents are trying their best to ask for a bride price. You say it doesn't matter who it is. If they are searched clean and married to a daughter-in-law, how can they treat this daughter-in-law well? In the days to come, I have a headache just thinking about it. Suqin, Chu Xia just got married, so I really don't have anything to say to her. There was no other way. Zhao Kiwi had no choice but to speak out. I know. A trace of embarrassment flashed in Suqin's eyes. I just complained to you, let my heart breathe, and told my parents that they could scold me so much that I couldn't hold my head up. Telling my sister will only make her sadder. The person she liked in the past was separated by my parents, but now she is working as a cow in my brother-in-law's house. If I mention this to her, it is not sprinkle salt in her wounds. I have the best relationship with you in our village, so I can trust you, so I just talked to you. Of course, I also have the idea that you can help me if you can. However, I also understand that you are still busy taking college entrance exams right now. If you can really get Chusia to force you out, why would you need to work so hard? It's not that Chusia doesn't help me, it's because our family has agreed. We can't just ask for it one by one just because Chusia married a good family. Then how can Chusia be valued in her in-law's family? It's not that you don't know the situation of my sister-in-law's family. Even if we add our big family, it is incomparable with my cousin's family. Therefore, our family can only help my cousin, not hold her back. Suchin, I know you are forced by your parents to do nothing, but I really can't do anything. Zhao Qiwei said with a face of embarrassment. I know. Suchin squeezed out a forced smile. I'm going home first, you can find me tomorrow, I have something to talk to you about. What's the matter, you're still so secretive. Zhao Qiwei looked her up and down. You know my temper, and you deliberately tease me. No, after a pause, Suchin said shyly, my second aunt introduced someone from her natal village, and she will come to my house to see her tomorrow. The photo was given to me yesterday. I want you to help me. Staff, you judge people better than I do. If you think it's right, I'll take a serious look tomorrow. If you think it's not good, I'll go through the motions. Don't. Zhao Qian waved her hands again and again in shock. Let your mother know that you can definitely eat me up if you say that, and I don't have the skills you said, so I can see what I look like from the photos. Besides, what can you see? Don't be afraid, you can see that people's character is quite accurate. Anyway, you have to give me advice on this matter. After Suchin finished speaking, she trotted out of the yard without waiting for Zhao Qiwei to reply. Zhao Qiwei shook her head helplessly, and turned back to the house. Li Aiwan looked at her daughter. What is Suchin looking for you? I've been nagging you for so long. The main thing is to tell me that Zhao Qian is back and brought her son-in-law back. Zhao Qiwei said while looking at Mrs. Zhao, Grandpa and Grandma. Suchin said that Qiwei greeted her, and personally introduced the man. It's her man. Boom, before Zhao Qiwei could finish speaking, Mr. Zhao slammed his fist on the Kong. Shame on me. If the meeting really comes, I think it will come soon. Li Aiwan looked at the old lady Zhao hesitantly. Mom, should we cook now or wait for them to come? Glancing at the wall clock on the wall, Mrs. Zhao said, let's do it now, they will do theirs, let's do ours. I don't believe they can turn the world upside down for me. Zhao Qiwei weakly aimed at Mr. Zhao. Grandpa, you wouldn't just throw the broom, would you? Seeing the old man glaring at her, she quickly added, if you have that plan, I'll go over there and chop stuffing. I'm afraid you'll hit me with a knife again. The anger on Mr. Zhao's face immediately turned into embarrassment. He coughed, turned his head to one side, and fell silent. Luo Xiaoqian didn't know what was going on, so she looked at Chu Xia suspiciously, but Chu Xia didn't know, so she pretended not to notice Luo Xiaoqian's sight, and lowered her head to pretend to be a dead dog. It's a pity that Luo Xiaoqian didn't want to go her way, so he teased her, tell me about it. Don't dare, Chu Xia said bluntly. Although she didn't know what was going on, she could tell from Mr. Zhao's expression that it must be a mistake, but she couldn't make up this matter. Mrs. Zhao thought she was afraid of being reprimanded by Mr. Zhao, and she didn't want to embarrass her future granddaughter-in-law, so she answered, your grandfather's temper is not human. For a while. During the Chinese New Year, Qiwei stood on the edge of the Kong and chopped dumpling stuffing. Qian came, your grandpa asked her if she finished her winter vacation homework, so she just wandered around. With Qian's temperament, she couldn't listen to others doubting her. She rolled her eyes and thought your grandpa was worrying, so your grandpa picked up a broom bump and threw it at her, blocked it with his leg, and threw it directly into Qiwei's hands. Chi Hui was sweeping stuffing with a cooking broom. When she slammed it so violently, her hand shrank back in pain, and hit the blade directly, making a big cut. The scar is still here. Zhao Qiwi deliberately shook the scar in front of Mr. Zhao's eyes. Grandpa, if I can't get married, it's your fault. Cough. Mr. Zhao coughed heavily, staring at his granddaughter. You're talking nonsense, and there is only a little white seal left. How can it be called a scar? Wow, woof woof. A burst of dog barking caused everyone to look out the window, and saw the short and sturdy Zhao Qian and a short man walking in unsteadily. Brother, is that Lu Zhenqiang? Chu Xia asked Jingzhe uncertainly. Yes, Jingzhe nodded affirmatively, although he is whiter and fatter, and has gold-rimmed glasses on his eyes, but a toad is a toad, no matter how long it grows, it will never become a frog. Chu Xia. Is there a big difference between the two? Grandpa, Grandma, Uncle, Uncle, Sister, Sister-in-law, I'm back. After greeting a group of people, Zhao Qian pointed to the man beside him and introduced, this is my man, Lu Zhenqiang, who is now in City A. The deputy director of the Lupaying District Police Station in Yunmen County will be promoted to the director next year. The high-spirited look on his granddaughter's face made Mr. Zhao extremely uncomfortable. He really wanted to wave his hands and drive this shameless granddaughter out, but after all there were still Luo Gangshun's family and Jingzhe in the room, so he gritted his teeth and endured it. In the end, I couldn't bear it anymore, and slapped the edge of the Kong with a big boom. Zhao Yushan. Father, Uncle Zhao Yushan quickly stood up and looked at his father suspiciously, not knowing what he meant. Take Zhao Qian to the village committee, let her speak into the loudspeaker, and let her talk about the fact that she has broken off with us. Father. Zhao Yushan looked at Mr. Zhao confusedly, not knowing what to do for a moment. If you don't go, I will. Give me the key of the village committee, the old man said as he rubbed against the Kong. Plop, Lu Zhenqiang knelt down. Boom, boom, boom sounded his head 3 times, and when he got up, he looked at Mr. Zhao seriously. Grandpa, Qian did something wrong before, and I'm here to apologize to you on her behalf. She's not showing off at the moment, she just wants to let Grandpa know that she married a good man, so that Grandpa can rest assured. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 390. As soon as the update arrives, this chapter is a bit short, there are at least 2 more updates today. Nuan continues to work hard. Lu Zhenqiang's posture was so low, let alone the Zhao family and Jingzhe, even Zhao Qian was a little surprised. After a while, she quickly stretched out her hand and said, get up for me. Lu Zhenqiang firmly grasped the ground with his foot on the ground, with a stubborn face. If Grandpa doesn't forgive us, I won't get up. Anyway, I will be the grandson-in-law of the Zhao family. Heh. Mr. Zhao laughed angrily. You remember what I said when Zhao Qian and her mother followed you, don't you? Is it true that I am confused and have a bad memory? On the day she betrayed the Zhao family and her family, she was no longer a member of the Zhao family. You don't have to play hard tricks on me, it's your business to live a good life or a bad life. The Zhao family will not be honored by you, nor will you suffer from your crimes. Get up. Zhao Qian frowned and tugged at Lu Zhenqiang. You have a bit of a backbone, people don't care about you, and it's useless to rush. Qian, Lu Zhenqiang took Zhao Qian's hand and pulled it to his side, and said with a gentle expression, why are you so rigid when you speak, even though you are thinking about your grandparents? It was you who said that you felt sorry for your grandparents and the Zhao family for what you did that day. When you come back, you must apologize to your grandparents and be a filial granddaughter. Why in the blink of an eye, began to duplicity again. Little fool, there is no shame in admitting your mistakes with your family. There is no shame in being scolded by elders. We did do something wrong, and you can't just do nothing. Let everyone forgive your waywardness, right? When did I say that? Zhao Qian stared at Lu Zhenqiang displeasedly. You come back with me. It's not because you want to build a good relationship with my family and curry favor with the Zhou family, Right, after finishing speaking, she stared bitterly. Glancing at Chuxia and Luo Xiaoxian who were standing at the door watching the excitement, the room was too crowded, and the two of them and Zhao Qiwi moved to the door. If you don't want to restore your relationship with your grandparents, then what are you doing when you come back? Lu Zhenqiang looked at her seriously. You are already a mother, and you don't want to give your child a decent identity. Why am I disrespectful? Zhao Qian said and began to cry. Did you stop treating me as a human being when you saw that I was pregnant with your child? Did you start laughing at me? The speed is really fast, Luo Xiaoxian whispered in Chuxia's ear at a volume that only the two of them could hear. You said you got married earlier than her. There was no movement. She is going to be a mother, hurry up. Chuxia turned her head and gave her a big roll of eyes. Oh. I said the wrong thing. The leader Zhou is not here. You really can't catch up alone. By the way, why didn't you work hard before? Hey, maybe the fruit of your hard work is already in your stomach. You said, is it possible that when the leader returns, he will already be a father? Hearing what she said became more and more outrageous. Chuxia was so angry that she grabbed her ear and pulled it out. He yelled at her under his throat, say something unreliable, our friends can't do it. Chuxia, don't do this. If you do this, I will misunderstand you and become angry. Luo Xiaoxian looked her up and down. You can't be jealous that Zhao Qian became a mother earlier than you. You have nowhere to vent your anger on me. Ignoring her, Chuxia turned and entered the house. Sticking out her tongue, Luo Xiaoxian followed in embarrassingly. Lu Zhenqiang had already stood up and stood side by side with Zhao Qian, still defending herself and Zhao Qian. A splendid wedding, giving the child an above-board identity. Speaking of this, Chuxia understands the general idea. Thinking about it, Lu Zhenqiang doesn't know anyone here. If Zhao Qian wants to marry him, he must ask Zhao Yishan to issue a certificate. If Mr. Zhao doesn't speak, Zhao Yishan won't. This proof, without his proof, the commune would not give proof, and the key point is that the director of the commune is Zhao Yuqi's husband, Mrs. Zhang. To sum up, without Mr. Zhao's permission, it is absolutely impossible for Zhao Qian to marry according to the normal procedure. But from this point of view, Lu Zhenqiang is really good to Zhao Qian. Regardless of whether they were together because of trouble, or because of true love, Ren Liangzin said that on Zhao Qian's terms, marrying Lu Zhenqiang is a high ranking, but the other party can show this attitude, which is also Zhao Qian's blessing. Let me think about this matter. You go back. Finally, Mr. Zhao spoke, but he didn't give any accurate information. Knowing that there was no rush for this matter, Lu Zhenqiang hurriedly thanked, thank you grandpa, thank you grandma, thank you so much. He poked Zhao Qian as he spoke, thank you grandpa and grandma soon. Thank you, grandpa and grandma, Zhao Qian muttered reluctantly from her throat. Grandpa, let's not bother you for now. For dinner, we want to invite grandparents to eat together. Okay, after asking, Lu Zhenqiang explained, it's not that I don't want to invite everyone, it's that I don't think I am qualified now, and there is still some misunderstanding between Qian and Mrs. Zhou, and it is awkward for everyone to sit together. When the knots in everyone's hearts are untied, these problems will disappear. Mr. Zhao waved his hand at him, and he dragged Zhao Qian up and walked out with his head drooping. When she was on the wrong side with Chuxia, Zhao Qian couldn't help but glared at him fiercely, but she stumbled on the threshold and fell straight forward. Chuxia hated her very much, but she didn't want the child in her stomach to disappear like this, so she hurriedly stepped forward and grabbed her, but Zhao Qian's weight was really beyond her load, and she was dragged forward by the other party in a daze. It took 2 steps to barely stop. Fortunately, Lu Zhenqiang turned around and hugged Zhao Qian with this buffer. Chuxia heaved a sigh of relief, let go of Zhao Qian in disgust, and shook his hands vigorously, as if something dirty was on his hands generally. Her series of movements and expressions were so interesting that everyone in the room had faint smiles on their faces, including Mr. Zhao. The originally depressive atmosphere that had been changed by Zhao Qian's arrival instantly relaxed. Zhao Qian was also terrified just now. The moment her foot touched the threshold and fell forward, she closed her eyes, thinking that her happiness would come to an end. But she didn't expect that Chu Xia, who thought she wished for her death, would do such a thing. Therefore, even though it was clear that everyone was facing Chu Xia at this time, she didn't say any more harsh words, but walked out beside Lu Zhenqiang with her head down and a look of lingering fear. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 391. The second update is here. Thank you friends for your rewards. There will be another update tonight. After Zhao Qian and Lu Zhenqiang left, Li Aiwan gave Zhao Qiwi a wink, and the couple went to the south room. As soon as the cutting board was put down, Zhao Yulan, Fat Ant, Chu Xia, and Luo Xiaoxian came over. Go and sit in the room, and I'll ask you for help after the reconciliation noodles are prepared. Li Aiwan pushed a few people out as she said, it's cold in this room, go back to the main room. Sister-in-law, do you treat us as guests? You have quietly come to the south room to get busy. Zhao Yulan sighed, picked up the cutting board and walked out. Go to the main room is still warmer, the tea is fragrant. He Gengshun is not an outsider, and Xiaojing is an easy-talking child. If you get chilblains on the hands and feet of the two of you, you will suffer in winter. There is no sun, and there is no fire all year round. This house is really not a place for people to stay in winter. The couple deliberately came here to work because they didn't want to affect everyone's conversation. But just for a while, they couldn't bear it. It's too late, so, don't be hypocritical and freeze yourself out of trouble. Since Li Aiwan married into the Zhao family, she has had the best relationship with Zhao Yulan. They are like sisters, and they usually don't pay much attention to it. But today, with the big family of future in-laws around, she feels embarrassed to be too casual, and brings everything to the back of the main room. And drove a few people into the house to keep warm. Zhao Yulan smiled and said, sister-in-law, tea fragrance is not an outsider. It's so lively when everyone is busy working together. Besides, if it's just you and your wife, why don't we starve to death? That's right, sister-in-law, you are treating me like an outsider. If I'm really a high-flying person, I won't come with you today. Isn't that right? The fat ant said as she took the initiative to grab the basin. I'll come and come on, it's my forte. This. Li Aiwan slammed her hands, not knowing what to do, and when Chu Xia saw this, she deliberately saluted, Auntie, please arrange the task. This child. Knowing that her niece was helping her out, Li Aiwan's eyes showed a hint of warmth, and after a little thought, she made a detailed division of labor. Only then did the fat ant laugh with satisfaction, that's right, that's how it should be. Our Xiaoxian is clumsy, but she has a good temper. I like that child Qi Liang. From now on, these two little ones will get along well and beautiful, we old ones have to get along as we please. Sister-in-law, if you always treat me as a guest, I'm really separated from you. Li Aiwan quickly nodded her head and responded, okay. I understand. If you come again in the future, I will definitely not be polite to you. We haven't been together for a long time. After a long time, you will know me, and I am not so hypocritical, it's a brain thing. The female relatives outside were chatting while they were busy, and the men in the room happened to be talking about crops at this time. By the way, Luo Gang proposed to go to the wheat field to see the growth of wheat seedlings in Xiaolan village. Hearing the response inside, Chu Xia, who was in charge of mincing the meat, almost cut his hands across the board. In other words, early in the morning, her father followed Luo Gangshun to the field to look at the wheat seedlings. At this moment, I want my uncle to take a large group of people to see the wheat seedlings, Why does the wheat field feel as beautiful as a lavender garden? While she was thinking about it, the door of the house was wide open, and the men came out in a file, and set off to the wheat field in a mighty way, but Lin Bao he seemed to be missing. After a while, Chu Xia understood. Obviously, this was to give the old man and the old lady time to settle Zhao Qian's matter before she left. Sure enough, just as this idea was spinning in her mind, the old lady Zhao's voice came over, "Yulan and Chuxia, come in for a while." The family of three sat in a row on the edge of the Kong. Chu Xiaoban leaned on Zhao Yulan's shoulders, and looked at Mrs. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao with big eyes full of smiles. "Grandma and Grandpa, I know what you want to ask, I will speak first. Zhao Qian, I don't want to get involved, I don't have any opinion on how you decide." "Me too. Me too." Zhao Yulan and Lin Bao he both agreed with their daughter's statement. "Hey," Mr. Zhao sighed heavily, "you guys, how could you push the ball out all of a sudden? I have to worry about the feelings of you and the Zhou family in this matter. After all, Lin Xiahua and Zhao Qian slapped the Zhou family in the face in front of the enemies of the Zhou family. If it wasn't for Yushui, we wouldn't even have to discuss this matter." The old man said while looking at his daughter, "You know your second brother's temper, he's too soft, alas. Father, I know that you are worried that helping Qian with the wedding will make our family feel cold, but why don't you help her, because you are afraid that the second brother will not be able to hold his head up in the village. I am my father's daughter, and my father knows best what temper is. It would be a lie to say that I have no grudges against my second sister-in-law and Qian. However, no matter how grievous they are, they can't veto them one bit. Lin Xiahua is my second brother's daughter-in-law, and Zhao Qian is my second brother's own flesh and blood. Because of this level of intimacy, we can't always remember this hatred. I can be sure that in this life, we will never be able to get close to the second sister-in-law and Qian. There is one thing that we haven't told our parents in detail, that is why my second sister-in-law and Qian got lost. They are Chu Xia's second aunt and cousin, and they didn't regard Chu Xia as a family at all if they could do such vicious things. If they had done their tricks then, Chu Xia's life would be over. I am a mother, and I will never forgive them for this matter in my life. If it weren't for someone's help, it is not certain whether my father and mother will still be able to see Chu Xia at this moment." Recalling the situation that day, Zhao Yulan choked and said not go down. Although she didn't say it clearly, Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao already knew that it must not be a good thing. The faces of the old couple became gloomy. "Xia, tell yourself, what's the matter? Grandpa wants you to explain it in detail," Mr. Zhao said. Chu Xia turned her attention to her parents, and seeing that they nodded, she sighed slightly and told the truth about what happened that day. "The whole family has discussed this matter a long time ago, and no one can hide it from Grandma and Grandpa, so that the old couple can have a solid foundation in their hearts, so as to prevent the Zhao family from being ruined by the mother and daughter in the future." After listening to Chu Xia's speech, the expressions of the old couple can be imagined. This matter really exceeded their imagination. They always knew that the mother and daughter were selfish, but they never thought that they could be so vicious. This is simply to want Chu Xia's life. At this moment, Chu Xia can still say that he will not interfere with Zhao Qian's marriage. "Come to Grandma." The old lady stretched out her hand to her granddaughter in distress, and Chu Xia hurriedly took off her shoes and snuggled up to her. "Grandma, Grandpa, I am blessed by gods, no one can harm me. Yes, don't be angry. When I wrote the letter earlier, I didn't go into details with you, just because I was worried that you would get angry. Look, I'm fine now, nothing happened. Hee, actually, I'm also very cautious. My second aunt and Zhao Qian hurt me so much. I will never hide it for them. I just want my grandparents to vent my anger. Grandma and Grandpa must train them severely, so that they will be afraid in the bottom of their hearts, so that they will never dare to harm their family members or bully the second uncle." You child, why are you so kind? Mrs. Zhao's heart softened even more when she heard her grandson's girl nagging. She caressed Chu Xia's head with her rough palm, and her eyes were full of love. Such a good child, God is protecting you, Grandma and Grandpa don't worry, but the matter of Lin Xiahua and Zhao Qian must not be simply let go. Your grandpa and I will definitely give you justice. No need. Chu Xia stared at the old lady Zhao seriously. Grandma, this matter really needs to be investigated, and the most uncomfortable thing is my second uncle. My parents and I have also discussed it, so let's do it. Anyway, the two of them didn't take advantage of it. As long as the grandma, grandpa and uncle's family will not be counted by them in the future, and the second uncle can live a little more comfortably, that's fine. Summer. Mr. Zhao interrupted Mrs. Zhao with a wave of his hand, and looked at Lin Baohe. Baohe, Dad wants to hear your thoughts. Father, our family has really discussed this matter. What Chu Xia said just now is our decision. After a pause, Lin Baohe said, second brother is the most miserable person, we can't let him suffer any more. As the son-in-law, Lin Baohe has made his attitude clear. He does regard his daughter as his life, but this time he and his daughter are willing to make a compromise for his wife. Zhao Yushui is Zhao Yulan's biological brother. If Zhao Yushui becomes lonely from now on, he himself will not be happy, as father and mother Mrs. Zhao will not be happy, and Zhao Yulan will not be happy, because in her opinion, the cause of all this is still at home, so this question really has no solution. Several people were silent, when Li Aiwan's inquiry came from outside. Second brother is here. Well, our parents here, it was Zhao Yushui's voice. Come in, Mr. Zhao said. The door was pushed open, and the second uncle Zhao Yushui came in, and plop knelt on the ground. Father, mother, I am not filial. I only know that my wife has a daughter-in-law who is not a thing, and a daughter who is not sensible. That damn girl led her son-in-law to anger your elder brother. I will apologize on her behalf. A trace of disappointment flashed in Chu Xia's drooping eyes. Second uncle, this was done on purpose. It seems that the relatives of the second uncle's family can give up in the future. He didn't have to do this, and she wouldn't kill his daughter, but he did so, which showed that in his heart, she was as unreasonable as his daughter. Zhao Yulan stretched out her hand, but finally retracted it. She was not stupid, and of course she saw the intention of the second brother, which made her very disappointed. Lin Baohe stared straight at Zhao Yushui, and expressed to the other party with actions that those who are not friendly to his daughter should not expect him to be friendly. It was mid-December, and even though he hadn't entered 9th grade yet, wearing a jacket would definitely not make people feel hot, and now, Zhao Yushui's forehead was visibly beaded with fine beads of sweat. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 392. It's 3 o'clock. Snapped. The broom sweeping the Kong was thrown out of Mr. Zhao's hand and hit Zhao Yushui's shoulder heavily, but he still knelt straight and didn't move. You came here after exchanging your brain with your wife's. Mr. Zhao stared at him bitterly. I don't have a son like you, get out. Father. Zhao Yushui's eyes were full of pain. Father, you have to pity your son. This life, the son will be like this in this life, there is nothing else to think about, as long as their mother and daughter can be good, I'm content with my life. Compared with before, Xiahua is different, really, she doesn't beat me up now. She doesn't scold me anymore, she just lives with me wholeheartedly. Qian is also determined to marry Zhenqiang, and she no longer thinks about marrying someone she can't get to. Finally she thinks about it. Dad, please help her. You. Mr. Zhao slapped the Kong heavily. Why did I give birth to a son like you? You are so useless, you might as well smack him to death. Second. Mrs. Zhao sighed, trying to soften her voice, do you think your sister's family will block Qian's marriage? No. No, although he answered like this, his tone had already betrayed him. The old lady asked again, tell the truth to mother, when Qian brought her son-in-law here to show off, did you know? No. Boom, a book hit Zhao Yushui's shoulder, throwing back the words behind him. Chu Xia discovered for the first time that his grandfather was quite violent when he was in a hurry. However, the heart is warm and harmonious. If she hadn't really cared for her in his heart, the old man wouldn't be so angry. Grandpa. Don't be angry, didn't we agree? Chu Xia hurriedly moved to the old man's side, and stroked his back, it's not worth getting angry about this. Xia. Zhao Yushui's voice was full of bitterness, second uncle knows that you, sister Qian, have wronged you too much, and second uncle has no face to beg you to forgive her. However, she is the second uncle's daughter after all. Seeing that she is going to get better and have a good life, the second uncle really hopes that she will be well. Chu Xia sat up straight, second uncle. What do you mean by saying this to me? Zhao Yushui groaned, unable to speak. Lin Bao he looked at him fixedly, second brother, I have always respected you and thought you are an honest person, but today, I really despise you. Do you know what your daughter did to my daughter? As long as your daughter wants to put my daughter to death, my daughter doesn't care, what else do you want? Your sister's family has been persuading me and your father just now. Regarding Qian's matter, we can do whatever we want, no matter what she has done before. I don't care about it, because she is the flesh and blood of the Zhao family. But you. As soon as he came here, he begged his daughter in a roundabout way. You figured out what's going on, so you came to plead? Mother. Zhao Yushui wiped the sweat from his forehead, I know that Qian is not good, but this time, she almost had an accident. As he spoke, he looked at Chu Xia. She glanced at her position, yes, it was Xia who beat her up and kicked her out, and then lost with her mother. Fortunately, she met Zhenqiang. If she met a bad person, her life would be over. Father, mother, I've always been very angry with her, but when she told me about it, I lost all anger. I almost lost my daughter. What else is there to be angry about? No matter how much she feels sorry for Xia, she can't. Seeing Mr. Zhao reaching for the scissors, Zhao Yushui stopped in shock. Grandpa, let me handle this matter myself. Chu Xia's temper also came up, she wanted to calm things down, but this family was too bullying. In the past, she felt that the second uncle was honest, didn't talk much, and was always bullied by Lin Xiahua. It was really pitiful, but now it seems that he deserved it. Did Zhao Qian tell you what you said just now? She was so angry that Chu Xia didn't even call her second uncle. Yeah, Zhao Yushui nodded, and quickly explained, I didn't believe it at first, but I saw the scars on her body, and Jianqiang also testified. So, you believe it? After a moment of hesitation, Zhao Yushui nodded, yes. They are a couple, and their interests coexist. Can you fully believe their words? Chu Xia continued, of course, you can't believe me, or should I say, I'm just your niece, you shouldn't believe me anymore. However, you must believe in the facts, and the facts I have mentioned have been proved by various evidences, or you can ask your daughter to confront me in person. As for who your son-in-law is, if you didn't grow your eyes to the sky when you went to join me in the wedding, you should be able to recognize him. He was one of the people who took the lead in raiding the house. Your daughter and your wife were at the scene of the betrayal of my husband's family. I didn't make it up, right? Then the two of them were tricked into going to the hotel, because they had no use value during that time, and when their use value showed iron again, do you know what they did? Your daughter said I beat her, why don't you ask her why I beat her? If my mother and I, together with your opponent, tricked your daughter into a supply and marketing cooperative, thinking that your opponent would ruin her, do you think she would be grateful to me? If it wasn't for the help of my husband's friends around me, if it wasn't for the many good people around me, what you see now might not be me, but a pile of Lois. I haven't gone to settle accounts with you yet, but you're making irresponsible remarks to me. If it wasn't for the sake of my grandparents, I wouldn't even bother to talk to you. No. Impossible. Zhao Yushui shook his head in disbelief. This is different from what the two of them said, not at all. Cut. Chu Xia rolled his eyes. Did your wife and your daughter-in-law say that they regretted not long after they left, and then went to me for help, but I ignored them, causing them to live on the streets? Zhao Yushui nodded. Look, you said the same thing. If you're not my elder, I really want to call you a stupid pig. Chu Xia stroked his forehead speechlessly. It's really not that the whole family doesn't come into the house. I really underestimated you before, Mr. Second Uncle. You are the one who hides the deepest in this world, wearing a mask of honesty, and your ability to turn right and wrong into black and white is really too great. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 393. One more. Xia, I'm the second uncle. Zhao Yushui's face was flushed, and the veins on his neck were protruding. It was obvious that he was extremely angry. Chu Xia glanced at him lightly, got off the Kong, put on his shoes, and left. Xia, Xia, where are you going? Zhao Yulan chased her out. Lin Bao he glared at Zhao Yushui, and hurried out after her. Staring blankly at the door for a while, Zhao Yushui turned his gaze to MRS Zhao. MRS Zhao, father, mother, after Chu Xia married into the Zhou family, the temperament of the little sister's family has really changed, and there is really no one in her eyes. What's changed? Mr. Zhao moved to the side of the Kong, raised his hand and knocked on Zhao Yushui's head. If I were Yulan, I would kick you to death. Is there someone like you who is the second uncle? You can't see the immoral things your daughter has done, and even pick on your niece who was almost killed by your daughter. If you have a crooked mind, you can't be crooked like this. Zhao Yushui knelt straight and didn't dodge, still trying to excuse his wife and daughter. Father, I understand Xiahua and Qian, they just speak badly. You really let them do bad things, don't you? That guts? It's not that Qian didn't know what kind of son-in-law she wanted to find. If she hadn't been forced to do so, she wouldn't have figured it out. The old man was tired from beating, and he knew that beating couldn't solve the problem, so he simply stopped, and waved to his kneeling son. Okay, I can't talk to you, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let's go. From now on, this family will have a good relationship. Don't come in. Let's end our father and son relationship here, and we will live our own lives in the future. I will pretend that I didn't give birth to your son, and you can pretend that your parents are dead. Father, Zhao Yushui called out sadly. Tears flowed down. I listen to you. I won't protect their mother and daughter anymore. Really, I won't protect them anymore. Mr. Zhao laughed back angrily. Okay, son, I know you today. You are my father, and you will be my father in the future, okay? Father. Zhao Yushui is really confused now. He is an honest man, not as smart as his brother, nor as thoughtful as his brother, with an ordinary appearance. He has met countless times and was rejected countless times. In the end, he couldn't delay any longer and married him the poor Lin Xiahua. At the beginning of their marriage, the relationship between the two was okay. But with the birth of her daughter, Lin Xiahua's temperament became more and more arrogant. Even if he couldn't say a word, he would beat her head and face. That was a real beating. When it was serious, there was almost no bruise all over his body. For more than 20 years. He has been tortured by Lin Xiahua and has no sense of resistance at all, and even thinks that such a relationship between husband and wife is normal. Result. This time, After Lin Xiahua was treated poorly by her natal family and accepted by him, she seemed to be a completely different person from before. For the first time, he knew that life could be enjoyed like this. Now, his daughter married such a good son-in-law again. Although he was a little disappointed with her previous behavior, she was his own daughter after all, and he was very happy to see her find happiness. Mr. Zhao and Ms. Zhao have been observing Zhao Yushui's expression. At this moment, they felt chills in their hearts. Did they never know this son? When Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe chased them out, Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian had already disappeared, and Fat Ant, Li Aiwan, and Zhao Kiwi were far away from the door, so they didn't quite understand the commotion inside, so they chased them out later. What happened? Li Aiwan asked Zhao Yulan and his wife, who were looking around. With a heavy sigh, Zhao Yulan shook her head and said nothing. The words that the second brother said really broke her heart. At this moment, she didn't want to mention him a word. It's okay to have Xiaoxian and Chuxia together. Fat Ant stepped forward to persuade, go back, you see people outside are looking this way, it's too eye-catching for us to stand here. You go and look for it, I'll help with the cooking. Zhao Yulan walked 2 steps inside after ordering Lin Baohe, and added, go to the second brother's house, Xia may have gone to find Zhao Qian. At this time, Chu Xia was pulling Luo Xiaoxian towards Zhao Yushui's house angrily. When she was approaching the door of Zhao Yushui's house, she stopped suddenly, come out. Who? Luo Xiaoxian looked around, where are you hiding? Come out. Originally, she was bluffing with Chu Xia, but unexpectedly, 2 men walked out of the corner, one dark and strong, the other gentle, completely different types. The gentle one grinned at Chu Xia, sister-in-law, what's your order? Come in with me to catch people. Chu Xia waved his hand domineeringly, I'll take care of it if something happens. Luo Xiaoxian grabbed her with a black thread, can I ask, who are they? They can't be the bodyguards Zhou Mikang left for you, right? It's not a bodyguard, it's someone who protects me. Does this mean something different? Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes helplessly, and continued to ask, you said that if something happened, you would be responsible for it. Why don't you still have me? We are friends. Of course, if something goes wrong, we should bear it together. Chu Xia nodded impatiently, okay, let's take care of it together, can you stop wasting time, we have to go back tomorrow, there are still a lot of things to do today. Xiaoxian Tongzi was 1 step ahead of Chu Xia, and waved domineeringly, let's go. After taking 2 steps, he quickly stopped, by the way, which one are we going to catch? Miss, can you go offline a little more? After rolling her eyes in contempt, Chu Xia told her, of course it's Zhao Qian. If she's not pregnant, I can drag her out by myself. Right now, I'm targeting her, not the child in her stomach, so, of course it would be good to have a helper. The black horse took a step forward, and said in a muffled voice, sister-in-law, tell me her appearance, and I'll go and grab it for you. Luo Xiaoxian said first, short and fat, in his 20s. When she finished speaking, Ma Chao had disappeared, and Zhang Qi was still standing leisurely beside the 2 of them. A master. Luo Xiaoxian's adoring eyes lit up, unexpectedly, there is really a martial arts master by my side, it's too powerful. Zhang Qi said leisurely, girl, you think too much. He just runs faster. How can he know how to do kung fu? I am the one who really knows how to do kung fu. What kind of kung fu do you know? Luo Xiaoxian looked at him in disbelief, it feels like that elder brother is from martial arts, and you are from literature. How could you be better than him in martial arts? Look at mine. After the words fell, Zhang Qi disappeared with a whoosh. It's really, a master, Shocked, Luo Xiaoxian dragged 1 sentence into 3 paragraphs, and Chu Xia shrugged his shoulders and pointed upwards. Under the tall tree canopy, Jiang Qi was sitting leisurely on the branch of the tree, stretching his paws and waving to the bottom. Luo Xiaoqing sighed again, too good. At the same time as her words fell, Zhang Qiren also fell in front of her. How about it, am I better? Yes, Luo Xiaoqing nodded, and changed the topic. However, I still like that elder brother better. I like the one who is dark and strong, so that he looks like a master. If you are really a master, it must be because of your personality. Yin's master, it's not easy to deal with. I don't want to be sold by you and count the money for you. Zhang Qi. Does he look that bad? Zhao Qian was making dumplings around the table with Lin Xiahua and Lu Zhenqiang. Because she left her mother behind and ran away alone, Zhao Qian showed a rare kindness to Lin Xiahua. As for Lu Zhenqiang, she also changed her original arrogance and yelled at each other, making Lin Xiahua so beautiful that she almost didn't know who she was. At first, she thought that something bad happened to her daughter, but she didn't expect that not only she was fine, but also found a son-in-law who was an official. Lin Xiahua really felt that what she had suffered was worth it. Mother, if daddy hasn't come back, will it be impossible? Looking at the time, Zhao Qian caressed her stomach. If grandpa and grandma don't agree, what should I do? I can wait, but the baby can't wait. Don't worry, your father is going out, one is worth two. Lin Xiahua patted her daughter comfortingly. It's definitely fine, don't worry, you just wait to be the bride. Then she looked at Lu Zhenqiang. But I have to treat my daughter well. If you hadn't been recognized as a person, she wouldn't just follow you like a big girl with no name, and you can't pick her reason for this matter in the future. Lu Zhenqiang quickly expressed his opinion. Don't worry, mother, I will definitely treat Qian well. I also like her. I wanted her in advance because I wanted her to be my wife. The door of the room was pushed open with a bang, and the three of them turned their heads to look over, and saw a big black man rushing towards the three of them, and before the three of them recovered, Zhao Qian was picked up by the big black man like a chicken go out. Zhao Qian was also frightened by this sudden situation, and let the other party carry her out of the door without making a sound, so that when Lin Xiahua and Lu Zhenqiang recovered and chased her out, they didn't even know that she was taken away. Where did it go? Go and find it. Lin Xiahua pushed Lu Zhenqiang away. You are her man, why are you still standing here stupidly? You go and find her, she is still pregnant with your child. In case something goes wrong, it's not over with you. Mother, I'll go right away. Lu Zhenqiang's downcast eyes flashed a shadow. He likes Zhao Qian, but that doesn't mean that this fat woman has the right to shout at him. The marriage between the two is still one step away. He endured her, and later, When Lu Zhenqiang walked to the corner, he almost collided with Lin Baohe, who was rushing over. Did you see Chu Xia? Did you see Qian? They asked each other at the same time. Chu Xia is gone. Lu Zhenqiang's eyes flashed a trace of undisguised joy. It turns out that he didn't just kidnap his wife, that's good. Qian is gone. Lin Baohe's eyes also flashed a hint of relief, so it turns out that his daughter has taken that woman away, very good. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 394. Father. Chu Xia moved in front of Lin Baohe, took his arm, and rubbed his cheeks back and forth on his rough hands. Mother and I will always be by Dad's side. After Mr. Lin's house broke up because of the unhappiness and returned home, Lin Baohe just sat on the top of the Kong without moving. No matter how much Zhao Yulan tried to persuade him, it was useless. There was no other way. Chu Xia had no choice but to implement the policy of tenderness. Although she has accepted her parents and had intimate interactions with Zhao Yulan, but with Lin Baohe, Chu Xia is still a little reserved. Besides, she is not a coquettish person in the first place. God knows she made such a move to encourage herself. How long have you been working hard? However, Lin Baohe's father deserves her to do so. Even the parents in that dimension may not be able to do this for her. When he asked that sentence sadly, he actually slapped Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin heavily in the face. The Xue family is not stupid. Hearing him say that, how could he not understand that he was fooled by Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin? Wang Maihua turned her face immediately, and Xue Ligong's expression was not good. In any case, he was the director of the Hunky commune, so if he was rejected like this, no matter what the reason was, it would be embarrassing to Grandma's house. It was precisely because he knew that Lin Baohe and his wife would resist marrying his family that he would lure Mr. Lin. However, after receiving the letter from Mr. Lin, he really thought that the old couple had persuaded Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, otherwise, he would not just bring a group of people to Dalian village. He knew what happened to Lin Baohe back then, and also understood his character. He thought that the filial Lin Baohe, for the sake of his parents, would definitely agree to marry his daughter to Xue's family. Who would have thought that he was mistaken? At that time, he had no choice but to turn his face and take his family away. The only one who was reluctant to part with him was Xue Kuaheng. When that guy left, he kept calling Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan's parents, and promised that he would make them accept him with sincerity. Chu Xia really wanted to smash his head with a brick. When the Xue family left, Mr. Lin and Mrs. Lin tried their best to stop them, and threatened Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. As a result, because of Lin Baohe's determination, the two parties could only break up unhappy. As the Xue family left, Mr. Lin picked up a shovel and threw it at Lin Baohe. If Zhao Yulan hadn't pulled Lin Baohe away with quick eyes and hands, Lin Baohe would have become seriously ill by this time. In front of everyone, Mr. Lin announced that he did not have a son, Lin Baohe, and the two sides would never communicate with each other ever since. Although asking the old man not to let Chu Xia and Xue Kuaheng get engaged. Will he not recognize his son in the future? But when all this really happened, Lin Baohe still suffered a great blow. When I got home, I was just in a daze without saying a word. Sure enough, after Chu Xia made such an intimate move, Lin Baohe finally sighed softly, "Xia, if Dad figured it out, he'll be fine." "Father, when we went there, you actually thought about the consequences. Besides, you're all angry now, and your words don't count." Lin Baohe stroked Chu Xia's head with his big hand. "Xia, with you and your mother, Dad is content, but now Dad just can't figure it out. I was also born of your grandparents, how could they really be so cruel and do such a thing? They dared to send a letter to Xue's family, just because they wanted to use their filial piety to force their father to submit. If it was before, for the sake of their face, for the sake of the Xue family, maybe Dad would have agreed. But ever since Xia fell ill, Father was really scared, risking his life. Father would not let Xia do stupid things again. Father." Chu Xia began to vibrate, and her heart was full of guilt. She changed the core, she took the core of another girl, alas. "Baohe, let Chu Xia go to serve in the army. Look at the performance of the Xue family boy today. From now on, life will not be quiet. With their meddling, who would dare to marry Chu Xia? Yulan." Lin Baohe let out a long breath. "Although I'm reluctant, but for Chu Xia's future, I'm willing to let her serve as a soldier." Head Zhou and Instructor Zhou just reminded the children to exercise earlier, but when it came time to recruit soldiers, they were definitely not here. But being a soldier requires not only a letter from the brigade, but also a letter from the commune. After what happened this time, how could Xue Ligong issue a letter to us? Without a letter of introduction, we would have no chance to meet the recruiting cadres at all. I just want to discuss this matter with you. I want to ask Zhang Yuzheng to issue a letter of proof directly from the county, so that Chuxia will not pass through the village and the commune. In this way, it is not difficult to just go along. As long as you nod, I will be ready in a few days. Go, this matter, settle down early and feel at ease." Lin Baohe hesitated for a while before nodding his head. "For the sake of Chu Xia, just beg him once. Zhao Yulan let out a long sigh of relief, and looked at her husband with sullen and soft eyes. Baohe, marrying you is the best thing I've ever done in my life. Lin Baohe's face flushed red. It's in front of the child. I just want Chuxia to know. Zhao Yulan looked at Lin Chuxia. Xia, there is something my mother didn't tell you. Before she got engaged to your father, she liked a man. He was sent to the village by the county. I was a technician. My mother had thought about marrying him, but his family looked down on my mother, but he was quite determined, and turned against his family for the sake of my mother. If your grandma hadn't stopped her, my mother might have married him. Your grandma said that if his parents didn't agree, my mother and he would not be happy in this life. Mother really couldn't listen to this at the time, but not long after, a technician from another village who came down with him was promoted back to the county. When he was carrying people behind his back, he often sighed secretly. Mother understood that he wanted to be promoted, and he also missed his parents. He might not be able to treat mother well all his life, and then mother broke up with him. Mother told your father about this matter when she and your father were on good terms. Now Zhang Yuzheng is the magistrate of the county. He promised mother that any time, as long as it is within his ability, mother will ask him. He must help. Mother, you were really in debt back then. Chu Xia joked with a smile, and then his face turned serious. Mother, don't ask him, this kind of person is not worthy. Xia. Zhao Yulan sighed slightly. Whether you deserve it or not, for Xia, mother begged him this time. No. Chu Xia's face became serious. Mom, although you didn't elaborate, but I know that you broke up with him back then. You were definitely forced out by him, otherwise, he wouldn't have made your promise. I'd rather I can't get married, and I don't want my mother to do this kind of thing. Besides, there must be a way for the car to reach the mountain, so father and mother don't have to worry about it. The college entrance examination will resume soon, but it's a pity that she can't say it, otherwise, parents don't have to so sad. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 395. Brother, Zhao Yushui stared straight at Zhao Yushan, his eyes were full of astonishment. The elder brother who has always protected him is planning to draw a line with him. Zhao Yushan avoided his gaze and turned his head out of the window. Father. Zhao Yushui looked at Mr. Zhao begging for help. Seeing that the other party was indifferent, he turned to Mrs. Zhao for help. Mother, I will not leave this house. I will be the son of father and mother all my life. If mother and big brother don't want me anymore, I'll bump my head to death here. Zhao Yushan withdrew his gaze from the window, staring in amazement at this younger brother who had grown up with him since he was a child. Could it be that he really became like living with someone? Mrs. Zhao, also had a look of disappointment. She had always been an honest young son, but she never thought that she would be such a rascal after something happened. As for the others, their expressions are also very exciting. This kind of scene of crying, making trouble, and hanging himself is actually staged on the elders. I have seen it for a long time. All eyes focused on himself, Zhao Yushui was also extremely uncomfortable, and moved his body uncomfortably. He really didn't know how to solve this matter. He just hoped to use this method, let his parents and elder brother feel pity for him, and just don't drive him out. Why is everyone looking at him like this? Okay, if you continue to make trouble, it will only make me hate you more, so go back. Mr. Zhao waved his hand at Zhao Yushui helplessly, indicating that he could leave. Father. Zhao Yushui stared at Mr. Zhao in bewilderment, with a helpless and pitiful expression hanging on his vicissitudes of life. Show it off. Yes, after getting the exact answer, Zhao Yushui was very happy, pulled her daughter up and walked out. Lu Zhenqiang hesitated for a moment, but just backed away, and did not follow out. "What else do you need?" Mr. Zhao asked. After a little hesitation, Lu Zhenqiang said, "Grandpa, you should know my mother-in-law's character better than me. She is too strong, so my father-in-law has always been obedient at home. But this time after my mother-in-law came back, her personality has changed. He has made a lot of changes, and he knows that he loves his father-in-law, so he is very satisfied. But even so, the most important thing in his heart is his grandparents and uncle's family. You are his spiritual support. If you don't want him, he may really do what he said. My son, I know how to do it. You don't need to teach him. If you want to talk about this, you can leave." Mr. Zhao replied lukewarmly. "I'm talking too much." Lu Zhenqiang bowed to the old man and the old lady, then nodded politely to the others, and said goodbye. "I'll visit again when Grandpa and Grandma calm down." "This man has a thick skin." Luo Xiaoxian couldn't help muttering something in a low voice, but it happened to fall into Lu Zhenqiang's ear, so he stopped and smiled at her, thick-skinned, for the harmony of the Zhao family. He. Luo Xiaoxian smiled contemptuously. "Are you doing it for the harmony of the Zhao family? Or for building a relationship with the Zhou family? After being Dean Su's assistant for so long, she is no longer the former Wuxia Aman. I don't want to defend myself. I really want to have a good relationship with the Zhou family. However, it is not for the benefit of myself, but to resolve the grievances between my wife and the Zhou family. At the same time, I really hope that the Zhao family is in harmony. I know you won't believe what I say now, but sooner or later, you will understand why I did this. Goodbye." After speaking, he gave everyone a faint smile, turned around and walked out. Alas, seeing Lu Zhenqiang's figure disappearing outside the gate, the old man couldn't help sighing. "Qian's son-in-law is quite a character. I hope he didn't marry Qian for some purpose," he said, and looked at Chuxia. "Xia, you should also pay attention, and tell your parents-in-law when you go back, and don't let him take advantage of the Zhou family's loopholes." Chu Xia nodded quickly. "Grandpa, I know." The anxious Lin Baohe finally had a chance to intervene, and hurriedly asked, "Xia, I heard from Lu Zhenqiang that Zhao Qian was taken away by a big black guy. What's going on?" In order to reassure the whole family, Chu Xia told the truth. "When Zhou Mikang left, he arranged for 2 people to protect me, and they also came with them. However, when I am not in danger or in need, they usually do not show up." Lin Baohe breathed a sigh of relief. "Then I'm relieved, Xia. Xiaomi is a good son-in-law who is hard to find even with a lantern in hand. After you go back, you have to respect your parents-in-law and husband-in-law. You don't care if you did something wrong. When they scold you, don't talk back. There are many children in the Zhou family. If anyone offends you, don't do it yourself. Go and complain to your mother-in-law. Let them help you vent your anger." Chu Xia interrupted her father speechlessly. "Father, I know a lot. I'm going out to help cook." After saying that, he ran out of the house as if fleeing, leaving Lin Baohe scratching his head in embarrassment. "You." Mr. Zhao looked at him amusedly, with a helpless expression on his face. He didn't accept the son-in-law at first, but now, he is his favorite. He. Lin Baohe smiled embarrassedly. "Father, Xia is sensible now, but she is a child after all, so I'm afraid that she will get angry sometimes." Mr. Zhao waved his hand at him. "Don't worry, she has ideas in her stomach." After lunch, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan rushed to Lin Baojuan's house in early summer, while Luo Gangshun's family stayed at Zhao's house to continue their relationship. As soon as the car stopped at the entrance of Luan's house, Luan Xiaoxiang ran out, saw the people getting out of the car, and shouted at the top of her voice, "Mother, my sister-in-law's family is here. Mother, my sister-in-law and uncle and Chu Xia are here." After the words fell, Lin Baojuan ran out. "Third brother, Third sister-in-law, don't you all come back in a few days? You don't want to see me, Zhao Yulan teased her with a smile. That's impossible, come in quickly, come in quickly. Lin Baojuan greeted a few people to go in, and then told her daughter, Xiao Xiang, go and call your father and De Zhang back. Hey, Luan. Xiao Xiang responded and ran out. What did little uncle and De Zhang do? Chu Xia asked. De Jiang's little uncle's house was overturned, and the two of them went to help. Lin Baojuan let several people into the house, took out a stack of bowls to pour water for them, poured 2 bowls, and the thermos was empty. Zhao Yulan, before she had time to stop her, she had already walked towards the old lady's room. After a while, accompanied by scolding, Lin Baojuan came over with a smile and a thermos. It's not an outsider. Why are you so busy? The 3 of us make 1 bowl. Zhao Yulan scolded. Why provoke her to curse for no reason? I just boiled the water in her house. It's a big pot, and she can't finish it. I'll fill it up for her when Xiao Xiang comes back and burns it. Lin Baojuan smiled at Jingzhe as she said, countryside there is no habit of drinking tea in the place, and there are no teacups, so you can only drink water from a bowl, so you can make do with it. Very good, very good. In order to show that he doesn't reject the big white bowl, Jingzhe quickly picked it up and took a sip. Hiss. Chu Xia frowned and sucked in a breath of cool air. Brother, your mouth is hot. Are you ready? Taking a deep breath, Jingzhe gritted his teeth and lied, it's not hot, it's just right to drink. Chu Xia took a sip from the bowl and gave Jingzhe a thumbs up, Tai Zy. This remark had a double meaning. Jingzhe's face blushed slightly and continued to speak stiffly, I'm quite hot, and I've been like this since I was a child. Lin Baojuan came in with a few pears, and handed one to Jingzhe, eat a pear to clear your mouth. Blame me, I don't know how to remind the water just boiled. Now that the subject has already said that, Jingzhe stopped pretending, and said, sister-in-law, you really almost scalded me to death. Hee hee. Lin Baojuan smiled shyly, but her eyes were full of warmth. This kind of address made her more comfortable than any nice words. Lin Bao, who was sitting on the side, sighed secretly. The longer he was with Jingzhe, the more satisfied he was with Jingzhe. Unfortunately, he only had 1 daughter. Third brother, third sister-in-law, you are back. You are handsome again in early summer. Luan Qingshu came in from the outside dressed in dirt, and greeted a few people with a silly smile. When it was Jingzhe's turn, he looked at Zhao Yulan and Lin Bao suspiciously. In the middle, doesn't the new son-in-law look like this? At this time, Luan Dajiang also rushed in, almost like his father. When he greeted Jingzhe, he got stuck. Zhao Yulan hurriedly introduced, this is Jingzhe, the grandson of Chu Xia's grandpa, and the good friend and brother of Chu Xia's son-in-law. It's not like Xiaomi is on a business trip, so he sent us back. He's such a nice guy. Luan Xiaoxiang, who came in after the 2 of them, heard Zhao Yulan's introduction, looked at Jingzhe with a blushing face, and then walked out with a twist of her braid and waist. Xiaoxiang, boil 2 pots of water, Lin Baojuan hurriedly ordered. Hey, with a clear reply, Luan Xiaoxiang swayed her big braids and went outside to hold firewood. The old lady coughed out of breath from another room. Luan Qingshu frowned and said to the others. Sorry, I went over and asked, Mom, what are you doing? I'm dying, old Madame Luan yelled angrily, I'm old and useless, so no one wants to read it. If you give people good food and good fruit, I, an old woman, have something to watch, son. Lin Baojuan curled her lips to the outside, and said to several people, she is like this. If no one cares about her for a while, she can't stand it anymore. She pretends to be sick all day long. Sooner or later, she will be relieved if she pretends to be something. Turning around, you come back, did our father and mother not make trouble? How can there be no trouble, but it didn't happen. Lin Bao snorted, they never regarded me as their son, I thought of it a long time ago. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Baojuan said, brother, do you know why your parents treated you like this? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 396. One more. Nuan has been so diligent these 2 days, please touch. Brother, do you know why your parents treated you like that? The younger sister's question made Lin Baohe recall the aggrieved things from childhood to adulthood. He sighed heavily, and said with a wry smile, it would be great if I knew. I know. After a pause, Lin Baojuan continued, originally I didn't intend to tell my brother about this, but now that my brother and parents are having trouble like this, I think it's better to say it, so that I can treat my brother and them like this. It's all good. However, brother, you have to make sure that after I say it, you will still get along with me as before, and you can't create a gap with me, otherwise, I won't say anything. Lin Baohe was stunned, hearing your tone, I should not be born to my parents? Impossible, the elder brother above is born to me, and the younger siblings below are also born to me. How could I not be born? When I was young, my eldest brother, second brother, and third brother slept in the west room, and I lived in the east room with my parents, and my parents woke me up in the middle of the night. The mother said, the few children in my family can't be raised, why should I raise other people's children? And the father said, the father and mother of this child died to save our Baohe, and they went to the king of Hades with Baohe. They have to raise their children as their own sons. Mother said, who knew they didn't care about our family's Baohe River, why should we let us take care of his family's Baohe River? Father said, the property in the child's parents' baggage is enough for the child's lifetime expenses, so we should try to feel at ease. You can't just leave this kid alone. The mother took out a bundle from the cabinet, took out the contents and counted them one by one. I was afraid that my mother would hide my things when she knew that I would wake up, so I didn't dare to say anything. Mother turned her back to me, I didn't see what was in the bag, but from the change in mother's attitude, I was sure that those things must be quite valuable. Father also warned mother that no one should tell about this matter. If people find out, even though those two people took the initiative to save people from death, they might be said to be the parents who killed them. There are also things in the baggage, which must be handed in as specified. Compared with these things, raising a child is a trivial matter. Later, when I grew up, I asked my mother about it. She started to pretend to be confused with me, so I pointed to the small cabinet where she kept her baggage and said I saw her put things in it, and I heard what she said to Dad. Mother warned me. You are not allowed to tell this matter, no one can tell it, and she also said that if I tell her, she will kick my second brother out of the house. At that time, I follow my second brother every day, and my mother knows that I have a good relationship with my second brother, so she can hold me like this. Outsiders say that parents are as good to their daughters as they are to their sons, but the truth is, I hear things I shouldn't, and they gag me. Be nice to me too. When I get older, it's not that I haven't thought about telling my brother about this, but think about it, if I really tell it, not only will it not change anything, but it may also discount our brother's relationship. I want to keep this a secret for the rest of my life, but now, I don't want to keep it a secret. Brother, it is impossible for your parents to have feelings for you, so don't have any hope for them. Brother can also ask them about this matter. I don't mind if they don't want me as a girl, this matter has been pressed in my heart all these years, and I can't breathe. If it weren't for the second brother's biological parents, the few of us might have become children without parents, no matter whether they are qualified parents or not, but for children, without parents, half life is lost. How could it be like this? If your surname is not Lin, what is your surname? What is his name? Who are the parents? Why did no one find or ask when they died? Why would they bring enough to spend his entire life? Why? All the questions flooded into Lin Baohe's mind. He stared blankly at his sister and didn't say a word for a while. Zhao Yulan's surprise did not spare him, so the expressions of the husband and wife were almost exactly the same. On the contrary, Chu Xia had a feeling that this was the case, so she just said, "How could the parents treat their children like that? No wonder the uncle and uncle are not close to dad, or maybe they know the truth." Moreover, from her point of view, Old Man Lin and Mrs. Lin chose to replace their son with her father in order not to attract attention. Otherwise, if you suddenly lost a child, what's the matter? Just from this point of view, Mrs. Lin is a disgustingly selfish couple. They kindly saved their children and lost their lives. If the funeral is not taken care of, then the disappearance of the couple cannot be left alone, right? Sister-in-law, are there tombs for my father's biological parents? Yes, Lin Baojuan nodded. Father asked mother to take the burden and the second brother home, and he called someone to go down the river to salvage it. It was so soaked that it didn't look like it was there, and it was reported to the police. It has not been found yet. Where did the couple come from? They were buried in the cemetery in Dalian village. So, that couple is my parents. Lin Baohe smiled sadly. I always listened to the story of that couple as a story, but it turns out that I am also a part of the story. Father. Chu Xia looked at him worriedly, and didn't know how to persuade him. No matter who it is, when you are 40 years old, someone will tell you that the parents who raised you are not only your own parents, but also your enemies. Even if he is not an enemy, he is also the murderer who indirectly killed his parents. This is too cruel. Second brother. Lin Baojuan also looked worried. This matter has been in her heart for more than 30 years. The older she gets, the deeper the guilt in her heart, so she chooses to speak out, but I'm afraid of losing this brother because of speaking out. Whether it's for repayment or redemption, anyway, she has the deepest relationship with this brother. Baojuan, you will always be my sister. Lin Baohe looked at Lin Baojuan seriously. Thank you for telling the second brother, so that the second brother will not be confused for the rest of his life. Second brother, do you want to find out who your parents are? Lin Baojuan asked. This possibility is very small, but I still want to do my best. I will go to my parents to get back my parents' baggage, hoping that there is something in it that can prove my identity. Of course, after all these years, they may not have sold the item long ago, but anyway, I have to give it a try. Whether I can find it or not, I will do my duty as a child, Xia, and I will visit your grandparents' graves with my father every year. They can lose their lives to save other people's children, which is enough to show that they are kind and good people. Dad is proud of having such parents. Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin hid in the house after Mrs. Zhang and Mrs. Zhang turned their faces. These days, there will be a lot of discussions about them. They want to hide from the limelight. The old couple sitting in the room with nothing to do, the more they think about it, the more uncomfortable they feel. They thought they could get a good future for their grandson, but this is a good thing. Not only did it not help the grandson, but it may also delay them. They became more and more angry with their second son. If it wasn't for his unfilial piety, would they be like this? If I had known, I should have strangled him to death. Such a bastard. Mrs. Lin cursed through gritted teeth. Okay, don't say anything useless. Mr. Lin took a puff of his cigarette pipe and sighed heavily. It's unfortunate for our family. Stop dragging your words. Mrs. Lin gave him a white look. Go to the second child's house and sit for a while. I'm so bored, my hair is almost growing white. The second son's family can't wait to hide from you as far as possible now, so why don't you go find yourself? Mr. Lin looked at the old lady contemptuously. After all these years, you still haven't realized that the second son and the second daughter-in-law can be together people who eat meat and drink alcohol and can't work together. In our current situation, if you go to the door, the second wife can drive you out with a broom. If you don't believe me, go and try. I'm not going. The old lady curled her lips, and frowned in annoyance when she heard Xuan crying from the east room, "Miking, bring Xuan over here, I'll coax you." Lu Miking was making Xuan's head startled. Hearing what the old lady said, she quickly took the child over and put it in front of the old lady. "Grandma, Xuan will leave it to you when she grows old. I'll go cook." "Wow wow wow." Xuan, who was already tired from crying and wanted to rest, turned her head and saw Mrs. Lin's narrowed eyes, and immediately howled hoarsely again. "Xuan, Xuan." Mrs. Lin picked up Xuan while reciting his name, and patted him lightly. It was strange to say that the little guy was patted by her in such a rhythm, and the little guy was in a hurry. He fell asleep in the past. Mr. Lin glanced at the little great-grandson who was put on the Kong by Mrs. Lin, and couldn't help saying, "This character is quite similar to Baohe's when he was a child." He was talking about his own son, of course. Mrs. Lin's face darkened in an instant, and every time she heard this name, that little bubbling, whitish corpse appeared in her mind. After Mr. Lin finished speaking, he also sighed and stopped talking. The already depressing atmosphere suddenly fell to the bottom. Children's senses are the most sensitive. Xiao Xuan, who was already sound asleep, kicked her legs and started crying. This time, no matter how old Mrs. Lin tried to coax her, she couldn't calm down. Zheng Sanqiao, who just came back from a visit, hurried over to take Xuan away without even looking at Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin. "This woman," Mrs. Lin gritted her teeth bitterly, "dogs look down on people, she thinks that little bastard will really ignore us from now on? Huh, when that day comes, let me ignore her." Mr. Lin frowned tightly. "You should accumulate some virtue in your mouth, and be careful that when you go underground, people will come to settle accounts with you." "Curse me, I can't let you go if people ask me to settle accounts." The old lady looked out, with a hint of joy in her eyes. "Here we come."